Madam Speaker, fellow citizens, I stand before you today engulfed in a turmoil of emotions just like you. Experts believe that Mauritians will not and could not get paid pensions in the near future. As a patriot in a patriotic government, we cannot allow this to happen. On the one hand, I have my mother's brother who turned 59 a couple weeks ago. I know an elderly lady who has been working for 40 years. She's more than family, and she turns 60 in December. They are both deeply affected. On the other hand, I'm the junior Minister of Finance. And day in and day out, I see the precarious state of the public finances. As a caring and responsible government, we have and will always be sensitive to the public's deeply rooted sentiments. The mind, the rational, say yes to the reforms, yet the inner self has a sense of unpreparedness. Madam Speaker, this battlefield of emotions has triggered deep reflections in me and compelled me in finding meaning in the noise. There is a reason why we do things. The why is innate. It's existential in our DNA, in our core, in our soul. The why directs how we do what we do. The speakers of this House have very diligently canvassed the how and the what of this budget. And in the time allocated to me, I will try to focus on the why of our budget. The why is protect generations. The how is bridge to the future and budget responsibility. The what, pension reforms and structural reforms. But before I proceed with our why, I would like, Madam Speaker, let's pause for a minute. Let's think. Let's try to decipher the why of the previous government and their budget ideologies so that we get a proper understanding of our budget. First, the State of the Economy document prepared by the civil servants under the supervision of the Financial Secretary shattered the money illusion into brutal reality. There was a lot of variance in the debt, the budget deficits, in the accounting of GBC reserves into primary surplus, into mixing gross international reserves with net international reserves. Let's go back to the why of the MSM. Question: were the generous handouts of the MSM driven by social concern, or were they politically calculated to consolidate power? Was there a deliberate method behind the populist measures, a hidden agenda to sedate public opinion, to create dependence, to manipulate the masses? Mauritians are not naive. We know there's no such thing as a free lunch. A household that spends beyond its means goes into debt. So does a nation. 180 billions of rupees printed, distributed, vanished. 520,000 of debt per head. At the stroke of a pen, the MSM eliminated the NPF and defrauded the acquired rights of the workers. They taxed the workers through the CSG tax and left a deficit of 9.8 billion rupees. The MSM risked the very existence of pensions whose sustainability was already questioned by the IMF and World Bank in 2015 and 2021, and a working committee of the Ministry of Social Security in 2018. They didn't care about our people. They could care less about a downgrade from BAA1 to BAA2 to BAA3 during their mandate, as they didn't care about Mauritius being put into a grey list. So, Madam Speaker and friends, think deeper. Which organization hands out money and instills fear to build a network of control and dependency? Can we think? I would not like to use the word because it is not strong enough. The word is mafia. Did the MSM dare to run Mauritius on mafia-style control? Did the MSM try to shape our paradise island into the juggernaut-owned enterprise? If you think this is the why of the MSM, do not ever let those political bandits basking under the sun on the beaches of Maldives get their hands on public money again. Now, Madam Speaker, let me focus on our why. As we reimagine our future, we must ask, are we crafting a vision for the challenges ahead? Or are we just keeping a broken system alive? Former French Prime Minister Dominique de Villepin, in his piece, Le pouvoir de dire non, wrote that we are not facing a temporary crisis, but une bascule d'époque, a tipping point in history. He warns that our planet's finite resources cannot support infinite economic growth. This budget does not just accommodate the transition, it accelerates it with decarbonized transport and energy, investment in a circular economy, real focus on food and water security. This budget funds education, reforms health, supports local food sovereignty, rewards care and commitment. This budget invests in teachers, caregivers, creatives, and citizens. This budget says no to unsustainable consumption. This budget says yes to economic justice, so that all Mauritians, especially our youth, feel included. As Villepin writes, la vie devient marchandise, vidée de son mystère. Life becomes a commodity, stripped of its mystery. Let's not allow our policies to become the same. We must give our children reasons to stay and our elders reasons to trust. Let this parliament restore that presence. Let us lift our country morally as well as materially. Madam Speaker, let me now get to the how. This government is doing just that by building a bridge to the future through a multi-annual financial framework with three components. One, a 3-year macroeconomic financial consolidation plan. 2, a social compassion pact. And 3, a productive growth roadmap. Madam Speaker, let me begin with the 3-year fiscal consolidation plan that has 5 enablers. First, reduce debt from 90% to 80%. Second, reform tax architecture for taxation equity. I'd like to ask a question to the House. Do you know, over the past 10 years, what has been the effective taxation rates of some industry sectors, such as hotels, tourism, banking, insurance? You may be shocked. It begins at 5%, because in economy they introduced so many taxation allowances that was their effective taxation rate. And on the other hand, the common public was paying income tax, VAT, CSG tax, devaluation tax, inflation tax. It is this equity that we have tried to bring through fair share contributions. Third, we need to find efficiencies of at least 5 billion rupees over the next 3 years in public bodies. Fourth, this budget has made a provision of 15 billion to manage ESGs, environment, social, and governance risk. On the social front, we have made provision for adequate funding of the institutions for fighting drugs. This is a welcome change for families that suffered for far too long with the previous government turning a blind eye to their misery. This budget has taken major steps towards good governance. Fifth, this budget has made provision to manage macro-financial risk due to internal and external shocks. As we all know, we live in an unpredictable world with country wars, tariff wars, and trade wars. We need to securitize our supply chains and expand to new markets. This budget allocates funding to institutions to make Mauritius a safe and competitive haven. Madam Speaker, we chose not to increase VAT rates because our fiscal consolidation plan is rooted in social justice. We will return to a lighter tax policy in 2 to 3 years. Madam Speaker, allow me to delve into the second pillar of our multi-annual financial framework, social compassion, with the provisioning of 428 billion of rupees over 3 years on education, health, housing, and social security. Our workers-centric values of the Labour Party, MMM, REA, and Nouveau Démocrate ensure that the financial sustainability and equity of our welfare state for next generations are protected. As such, pension reforms are necessary to ensure multi-generational pension sustainability. A commission of experts is called upon to propose a financially viable and ring-fenced NPF 2.0. Madam Speaker, the budget has made provision for a number of social pacts, but in the interest of time, I'll move to the third pillar of the multi-annual financial framework, growth, based on 6 multipliers. 1, structural economic reforms. For example, ease of doing business, external competitiveness, and labor market reforms. 2, port, airport, digital, financial, and diplomatic connectivity as force multipliers. 3, the resilience of existing contributing sectors, for example, construction, financial services, and tourism. 4, the recovery of stagnating sectors, for example, local production. 5, innovative Mauritius, for new economic pillars such as digital, AI, green and blue industrialization, and agri-resilience. 6, the Future Fund as an investment catalyst. Madam Speaker, all these opportunities, we are bringing them to Mauritius so that our children stay in Mauritius and do not emigrate outside. And we are confident that the multi-annual financial framework will yield the macro financial results in the next 2 to 3 years. Let us return to the why as I prepare to conclude. Allow me to share a vision. Picture a less young version of me walking along the Peribere beach in 2050. And I see multi-generations of Mauritius with smiles in their face, children, the youth, women, parents, grandparents. I look at them, I smile and perhaps think, if only they knew how the 2025-2026 budget was a watershed moment. The Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister led government, in which I was Junior Minister of Finance, brought reforms of the century, the pension reforms and structural economic reforms. The two leaders tried to mend a broken social system. They dared to challenge the status quo. Think of Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, and Sir Sagar Ramgoolam. They all have one thing in common. People, generations, enjoy the benefits of their decisions for decades, for centuries. On a personal note, both their directions and guidance are forging my character, courage, and conviction. Working with the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister is a lifelong journey of learning. And like all the members of this government, I am deeply touched and inspired by a statement of the Prime Minister in a recent interview. I don't want anybody else to carry this burden, and I accept my fate of going through tough times again to build a bridge for the next generation. That's leadership. Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, and members of the government, thank you for your support. I haven't finished. Madam Speaker, this is very important. I always finish with a call to action. So, Madam Speaker, in conclusion, allow me to make a call for national wisdom. In the words of Shri Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, who captures the spirit of responsibility and renewal so beautifully, quote, "The country has such a government today which is devoting every moment of the time and every rupee of the people's money for the balanced development of the country. For Sarvjan Hitaya, Sarvjan Sukhaya, a Sanskrit phrase meaning for the welfare of all, for the happiness of all. The pride of my government and my countrymen is connected to one thing, that our every decision, our every direction is linked to just one yardstick, that is, nation first. And nation first is going to produce far-reaching and positive results," unquote. Madam Speaker, we have made a tryst with destiny as one people, as one nation in peace, justice, and liberty. We are building the bridge to the future. Let's now make a pledge to build innovative Mauritius. With this, I commend the bill to the House. Long live our motherland. Thank you.